Hey guys, Cerealkiler here. Gonna do some floor 100 TOA, see if we can knock this guy out. Gonna go in here with this team, this copper talc. I had a lot of luck with it. This is actually what I used the last time this boss came up. This will be my fourth or so attempt this month. I've gone in here with a couple other ways. I wanted to try to see if there's some other stuff that I could do, and nothing else that I could come up with works as well. The boss just does too much damage to me to bring a real squishy target, so I end up having to bring a bunch of sturdy things, and then nothing else that is sturdy enough can do the kind of damage I can get out of a copper. But I don't think I actually tried any other tanky defenses or defense type units. Everything else I brought was like a squishy damage dealer, and it wasn't getting it done. Every once in a while I couldn't get things lined up right and the boss would end up killing someone. So this is going to be my first copper talc attempt this reset, but it's a pretty safe setup and should work out pretty well. On that note, if you don't have a talc, I highly recommend you building a talc. Talc is a glorious monster. Mine is 35 with fairly terrible runes, definitely nothing special, and he more than pulls his weight. When I first built my copper, I was using copper talc a lot in PvP, and then I pulled a Randy and I built him, and Randy is definitely my go-to copper buffer for PvP. So I use talc a lot less in PvP, but he is great in TOA. Talc was also part of my first Dragons 10 auto team, and I'm looking to make a big Dragons video for you guys as well, or a medium-sized video. And Talc at 35 with pretty mediocre runes does real nice in a Dragons 10 auto team. So I'll get that up for you guys and you can check it out. I'll show you kind of the progression of my Dragons team from where I started to where I'm at now, what I'm using to farm runes. It's working out pretty well for me. Not super fast, but super reliable. It's actually been a long time since I've timed it. Probably 4.5 minutes or so, but ultra reliable. This wave should be relatively simple. There's really no threat here. I don't see anyone dying here. The only real problem is if you don't line things up right, it might end up taking a while. You've got the light Death Knights that have that really weird gimmicky revive, but only if they kill something, so that's not going to happen. But you do have 3 Vanessas, and their leader skill should be arena only, I think, so they're not getting a speed leader skill, but they're just going to be reviving like crazy, and they'll do relatively okay damage. I'm not worried about these Vanessas doing any damage because I've got a copper and a talc in here, and the talc is going to keep my copper defense buffed most of the time, and they're not going to do anything to a defense buffed copper. And then I'll probably end up taunting them a little bit with my copper or with my talc as well, and they're similarly not going to do anything to a defense buffed talc. They'll actually do worse because they'll probably be glancing the whole time. I think, yeah, we'll spread some armor break around. Levels like this where, the whole level is just a stall level. There's no threat of them doing anything. Really doesn't matter as far as whether you're going to beat it. It's more of a how fast can I get this stuff out of my way, which is nice when they put these kind of levels on like a TOA 100. That way if you end up doing it 4 or 5 times, there's a little bit less dice roll to it. Now I got to deal with another Vanessa, but I think that'll be the last revive I think that they're going to manage unless something weird happens here. Everything's so low, that might even be the last time that the opponent moves right there, that Death Knight. And, he can punch that Veromos all day. He's never going to get anything done there. So we just got to wrap these guys up. Maybe seize that thing off. Yeah, just to... oh, well, Thanks for that, Bella. But the goal would have been to pull that off just to move things along a little bit quicker. That hot is going to outdo the damage on the dots, so I actually have to punch that thing to death. I can't just let it die from the dots, because the hot will heal it before the dots will kill it, which is kind of nice if you have any units that apply hots. One hot on your unit is the equivalent of 3 dots, and it'll happen first, so it'll prevent you from dying unless you have 4 dots on you. Now on this guy, this left tower does an AoE heal block, but it does it slow enough to where I don't really mind it at all. And the right tower has a resurge effect. Not quite 100%, but it gives the boss a huge amount of its attack bar. Works actually a lot like the right tower in the level 9 of the Dragon's Raid, or the Dragon's Dungeon. And that resurge tower is definitely my biggest threat here. I don't want the boss to go and then the tower to resurge him right away and then him to go again. That's when something's gonna die. So I couldn't remember if you could taunt that thing, and I guess we just found out that you can. But actually, what's gonna end up happening? Yeah, see, the boss's passive pulls off all his debuffs. So you can apply the taunts, but it won't actually do anything. It's like taunting a Veromos, except for you just added one more debuff to him that he's gonna pull off and then get his own passive effect, the buff from debuffs. So as I say that, I should stop taunting this boss because it's doing nothing except making him stronger. And we just found out that that's kind of a waste of time. So we'll switch to just punching one of the towers with Talc. He's not going to get any damage on them, but at least then he's not putting the taunt up on the boss and actually helping the boss. And that's another advantage. We want to kill that right tower because the right tower, has kill potential in effect that it could make the boss go twice in a row. The left tower, frankly, I don't see that killing anyone unless your team's real slow or if you're in a really bad position anyway. So it's relatively safe to leave that left tower alive, and then the added benefit of just not having to waste the time to kill it. But then thirdly, if you have any low damage units that apply a debuff constantly on their auto attack, like Talc, if you kill both the towers, now you're forcing your Talc to apply that debuff on the boss and then let him get his buff out of it. If you leave one of the towers up, you can just punch that tower with the Talc instead of giving that buff to the boss. So we're going to punch this right tower with the Talc because we're actually trying to kill it, and then once it dies, we'll switch to hitting the left tower with Talc, and pretty much everyone else can hit the boss. Bella does do a debuff with his auto attack, but we want that armor break on the boss. And then Verde's no debuff, and Veromos' debuff won't go up because he's immune to dots, and Copper's debuff won't go up because he's immune to stuns. So everyone but Talc has free reign on hitting the boss. I'm trying to decide if I should Thunderstrike that guy, and I decided I want to save the Thunderstrike for the boss, so I just did Spinning Slash to try to take out that crystal. I do want to kill the crystal, but kind of more importantly to me is to get good use out of all of Copper's Thunder Smashes, because that's literally the only reason he came here, was to Thunder Smash stuff. We got that right crystal almost dead. Maybe if we get a couple Veromos procs, we can knock that thing out. I doubt the right crystal's gonna go again, because Veromos will go a couple times before he does, if he wants to do any of his dots. Oh yeah, Talc's gonna take down that crystal all by himself. No worries, Veromos, no need to put your dots up. Right crystal's dead at this point, so I'm gonna heal right there. I had a bunch of heal block on my team, but the only person who actually needed the heal was Verde, and Verde didn't have the heal block on him, so I figured I'd go for it. Now, I would like to have Thunderstruck right there, but with the defense on my Copper, Thunderstruck will not proc the armor ignore unless the boss is armor broken and I'm armor buffed. So like right now, it'll work. So I held it last turn, get me, only 12k because I didn't crit. I mentioned earlier, I started using Randy with copper for PvP. Now the problem there, or the downside there, is that I took a bunch of crit rate off my copper because I'm getting it from my Randy. So he's super dependable, he's got 100% crit with the Randy buff, but he's only has like 73 or something like that natively. So whenever I use him with Talc like this, I've only got a 75% chance to crit, and it's pretty annoying. Hopefully we don't get too many of those non-crits, because that's the whole reason copper's here. On that note, I don't regret doing what I did with copper. I'm loving copper Randy in PvP, and I really like copper Talc in PvE. So we'll see if I end up just putting the crit back on copper, or if I end up just being happy with 70% crit. Don't know where I'm going to go that route, but as it is right now, he's ruined ideal for PvP and just not quite ideal for PvE, but it's plenty effective. As you can see, this is a fairly safe team. It is, the Verde is the one guy where no one has and is super sad face here. I'm about to crush this boss with a Thunder Smash. Yeah, let's do it. Thunder Strike! I'll slow it down. Hopefully we get a nice crit here. Yeah, like 28k or something like that. It was a little too fast, so I still couldn't see the number, but just shy of 30k. As I was saying, the Verde, unfortunately, is not really obtainable. Hopefully most of you guys have him. Unfortunately, most of you guys probably don't. I got really lucky. I got him super early. And I got him before I had enough runes to make use of him. And he is quite a glorious beast. Outside of the Verde, and this is totally doable without Verde, the magic of killing this boss is, at least with this setup, is all 5 members need to be tanky. So no squishy monsters. We're not bringing, Sigmaris in here. Nothing like that. Everyone tanky, and then at least one of those tanks needs to have a fairly large, reliable damage source. So you could replace the copper, not necessarily that I would advise it. Copper works great, and you should all have a copper anyway, because he's glorious. But if you just happen to not have a copper, or if you have a beast monk, or something like one of the mammoths, the black war mammoth would be excellent in here. The light war mammoth would work in here as well, assuming you have him built. The fire war mammoth would work great, and the fire war mammoth is super easy to get compared to the other ones. And the fire war mammoth will do exactly as good as what copper's doing, and you don't need him defense buffed. And you don't need the boss armor broken. You're going to want the boss armor broken, but it's not like it'll fail to work, whereas the copper's Thunder Smash will literally just not work, and he'll hit for 1800 if you do it with the boss unarmor broken. The kind of push to use copper over something like that is Talc works really great in here anyway. So if you have the Dark Mammoth, you can bring the defense buff and the heal and the nuke all in one unit. If you're using a different offensive unit, I would still highly recommend bringing Talc in here anyway. The defense buff and heal is very well suited for this fight. The damage comes from this boss very slow in really big chunks, and it's super helpful to have the defense buff up. Having the defense buff, it's way more valuable than, say, let's pull this Talc out and put an Amen in here. I would way rather have the defense buff and a small heal every 3 turns than a Amen heal every turn and no defense buff. We're gonna spinning slash this guy because I only want to use the Thunder Smashes under perfect circumstances. Me with a defense buff and him with a defense break. And it's all on its way out right now anyway. I think, yeah, the next one, I can't do it right now because I'm defense broken, so I had to save it. You got to watch for that. You don't want to use a Thunder Smash while you're armor broken because you get nothing done. So I saved it, let my Veromos go, cleanse my armor break, and then the next time the copper moves, he's either going to die or he's going to be really close to death. So let's slow it down. No crit again, so we got a 13k. That would have overshot him by like 25k had we crit. But that's cool, we'll get him right here. And that would be a dead TOA 100, guys. Pretty safe, smooth run. Everyone should have all of these monsters except Verde. And the real trick here, or the magic, is 5 tanky monsters. In this case, copper, but one of them having a big old slam. I really want that Chassoon. We're gonna open a couple scrolls right here. I think we'll for sure open the legendary stuff, and maybe one of the light darks. Let's open some social summon scrolls. Burn out all the crap ahead of time. Some sweet Bearman fodder. And let's see what we can get from this guy. Oh, look at that beautiful, beautiful Rakshasha. So I don't have one of those, so that is gold. Super happy to get that. I'm kind of tempted to just not summon anything else because now everything else is going to be shit. But let's go ahead and use that light dark scroll. Oh, sweet light mummy. All right, well, fuck that. All right, thanks for watching, guys.